I've been in touch with, I just saw Tom Hack. That was great to see him. He looks good. You know, Nancy, Ryan. I still text with Nancy and Chuck Conlon. You know, you guys are really what it's all about. Because through it all, boy, all, in all caps, you know, we've seen a whole lot. And it's been hard to try to keep together, right? It's been hard to, you know, just keep the light burning, keep each other close. And I can say to you that I really believe in what's coming for all of us. It's going to be more important than ever for you guys to hold each other close and stay together. Because there are just changes coming that are very terrifying. You know, they could be great, they could be wonderful, but they're certainly going to be different than anything any human has ever experienced in history. And so, as I look, you know, at groups, and I look at what we've done collectively, and we've done a lot. You know, we've done a lot, and I say on my podcast, and I don't apologize for this. We saved our nation. That's what you did. You saved our nation. We were done. We were done. You know, look at the stuff that, you know, Gabbard released yesterday. You know, we knew all that. They were doing it to us, right? We knew that. And if we didn't stand up, if you didn't stand up and say no, they would have had their way. And we would have been long gone. You know, I see that you have a shirt with the Trump, you know, fight, fight, fight on it. You know, last year, when I spoke with you, Nan and I left and we went down to a fundraiser in Orange County for Sheriff Bruce Zawistowski, and Bernie Marino was there, and Dave Yost, and a bunch of people. And that's when we learned that Trump had been shot. And the whole world turned, right? It's hard for me to take the time to think about what this world would look like right now if that had gone the other way. It's almost unimaginable, because I do not believe that our nation would have survived. I just don't believe it, because it just would have been the last straw. And there was going to be no accepting anymore. There was going to be no more being polite or, you know, playing along.
Our glory to God for giving us the ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we couldn't do it without Him.
And that's why, you know, you just say, you know, I say at the end of my podcast, and may God bless you, because He has certainly blessed America. You know, you can't help but believe that this is for a reason. And so we don't know what that reason is. We can't know what that is, but we just gotta believe it and embrace it and play our part and do what we can do. But we don't know what's coming, and there's no way to know. And so by being together, right, by having these conversations, by seeing those opportunities in your local community, and you guys have been great with getting involved with the school boards. You know, this group has done a marvelous job. And that's really important, because that's kind of what, you know, it's all about. You know, home, where we live. But, you know, I look at Brian and I look at, you know, the property tax fight, and it's kind of like Back to the Future. Because when we started, the whole issue of the Tea Party was Obamacare. That was the jet fuel. That's what created the Tea Party movement. Because and it was so good, Brian, to hear you say that the property tax is a liberty issue. Because the one thing that most people never got about the Obamacare and the Ohio Health Care Amendment was that, yeah, it's bad medicine. Yeah, it's bad economics, because you're going to pay a hell of a lot more for that bad medicine. But our point was, It's about liberty. If the government controls your health care, they can make you do any damn thing they want. And that's what fired us up. That's what drove our fight to say, no, no, we're not going to have government health care. We know where that leads. And so, we heard the same things, Brian. You can never do this. It's impossible. It's never been done. Never been done. And then you said, yeah, but it can be done. And it was done. And the Ohio Liberty Coalition, which by the time it went to the ballot, I was the president of that statewide organization. You know, we collected 550,000 signatures. It was tough. We had volunteers going door to door. We weren't paying for, you know, people to sign petitions and all that. And we got it on the ballot. And we won in all 88 counties. We won in every county. Now, though that happened, that's where our hard lessons began. Okay? And our hard lessons began, Vesna, you know, it's why you're so important. Because the entire history of our movement has been to deny us legal advice. Literally. When the Portage County Tea Party started, okay, I'm a businessman. I'm in Portage County. We're going to Washington on a bus trip. Well, what do I need? I need insurance. I'm not leading the group and going on a bus trip that has an accident. I'm going to lose my house, my business, and everything. I need to incorporate. Right? Simple. Call up a local attorney. Hey, I need to incorporate. Sure, I'll help you. Next day he calls, says, sorry, I can't help you. Why? No, sorry, I can't help you. 5 attorneys would not incorporate us. Would not just incorporate us so we could buy insurance. Okay? Well, we ended up getting an attorney, but he ended up being a spy. Okay? Right? Okay? And so, literally through this entire effort, you know, we have been crippled by their willingness to deny us the right to legal representation. The attorney that we had do the Ohio Healthcare Amendment, okay, Maurice Thompson. Do you know Maurice by chance? Or you've heard of him?
I've heard of him.
He's got quite a reputation. Maurice is a unique individual. Okay, very unique. And I remember I'm the head of the Ohio Liberty Coalition, and we're trying to bring home the Ohio Healthcare Amendment, and Cleveland State University has an event where they have all their law professors going through the amendment that we put forward, and they're talking about all this stuff that I'm like, that's not in the amendment. Wait a minute, that's not in the amendment. What are they talking about? And I call up Maurice Thompson and I go, Maurice, is that in the amendment? He goes, yeah. I go, why? He goes, I just felt like sticking it in there. Stuff that just destroyed our ability to win that debate. Okay? And you sit there and you go, whoa, okay. And so then we're doing the healthcare amendment. We're getting all these signatures. John Kasich signs it. I've got a picture of John Kasich, the governor, signs the Ohio Healthcare Amendment petition, put it on the ballot. Now, what happened after we got on the ballot? We won. He put Ohio and a federal healthcare exchange. He cut a deal with Obama and put us in a healthcare exchange. After he'd signed it himself.
He's a Democrat.
Well, at best. he's evil, really. Okay? So we went through the process that you're going through, and the net was we basically got nothing. We got nothing. We didn't protect ourselves from Obamacare. Right now, Brian, I think this is true. Well, I don't know if you would know, but John, you might know. But like Medicare is like the biggest expense of the Ohio government.
Yes.
Right? It's the biggest expense. John Kasich just took all the money from the feds and put all these people on Medicare. And that's why you saw the big, beautiful bill. We were struggling to pass it because some of the congressmen and senators from Missouri, what's his name, Josh Hawley, I think it is, was like, well, we've got all these people on Medicare. We can't make them have to work to get it. Because guess what? When the state puts them on Medicare, the federal government pays like 3/4 of the money. But we don't restrict them to be able to do that. Okay? And so I've been in touch with Brian from the beginning and his whole staff. And I've tried to work with them. I've done some promotion of it. But I know what we're facing. I know, how difficult it is, number one. And number two, how evil they are and what they will do to blow it up, to take it away, to stop it, to challenge it, to do whatever the hell they have to do. And again, when we did the Ohio Healthcare Amendment, we had lots of popular support, which there's no doubt. I mean, the polls are clear. Nobody wants, these property taxes are out of control. No doubt we have popular support. But what's different is the number of people aligned against this. Because you're skewering their pig. They're all getting levies. They're getting the library levy, the fire department levy, this levy, that levy. The amount of money, which translates into propaganda and lies, that is going to be put against this if it does get to the ballot, is going to be like nothing you've ever seen. And that's a challenge. That's a serious issue for me. Because at the very first Tea Party meeting on July 11th of 2009, on the steps of the Portage County Courthouse, I said these words which have guided me for 16 years. I will never waste your time. I will never waste your effort. And will never waste your money. But when I call you to battle, you better bring your musket and run to the fight and fight like hell. Because I'm not going to call you unless it's important, unless it's literally worth everything you got. And we've done that. We have done that more than once. Okay? But I take that very seriously. So I'm trying to do what I can to figure out, as Brian and these guys are rightfully continuing this process. Why rightfully? Because it's putting pressure on them. It's scaring them into action. It's making them talk to me when they don't want to talk to me. It's getting them to think about, well, maybe we could find a solution of some sort, okay? And that's helpful, because somehow we've got to come up with a strategy that's a win-win. It's a hell of a lift to collect as many signatures to get it on the ballot. And then you got to win the damn election. It's win-lose. Wow. Roll those dice, baby, right? Yahtzee. So we have to think hard about what we do and what we commit ourselves to. And we have to be smart. And we have to be honest. Right? We have to talk honestly to each other. And I think George will tell you, that I have some pretty harsh conversations with a lot of people because I really want the truth. I really want to know what I can do and what I can't do. And I want to make the right decision, particularly when people like you are listening to me. I can't tell you how much that weighs on me. Nan can tell you, how much I talk about that and think about that, how careful I try to be before I say something, right? Because I respect you. I respect your time. I respect the fact that you're here. I respect the fact that you invited me. Of all the people who come, you said, Tom, we'd like to hear from you. I don't take that lightly. That's really serious to me. So, some of the things that are on my mind and on my heart that I want to share with you and talk to you about is that we've spent a lot of time as our groups, liberty groups, right? Tea Party groups, trying to restore our Constitution and to restore our form of government. But, you know, what Brian and John, those guys said is, unfortunately, it doesn't really exist. We started, you know, when the Tea Party first started, yeah, I certainly was naive. I had nothing to do with politics, nothing. Okay, we had a business and a family. That's where my focus was. I got scared when Obama started saying, oh, business contracts don't matter. I could just cancel them. Like, wait a minute, how's that work? You know, in a capitalist society, you can't have contracts? Okay, that's kind of got my attention. All right? But honestly, I thought, maybe some of you did, it seems so naive now, it's almost embarrassing to say it, but I thought in 2009, 2010, certainly 2012 with Romney, I just thought if we elected the right person, it'd be okay. I thought there were laws. I thought there was a constitution. I thought, you know, the people we elected actually worked for us. I thought that, you know, that the government was our government. And so this whole experience of 16 years has been one of those deals like everything you thought was true is a lie. Literally everything. Literally, there's no there. There's no there. You think any of these damn judges, you know, that are interfering with Trump and our agenda, you think any of them believe in the Constitution? You think any of the Democrats, you know, were voting no about getting boys out of girls' sports? You think they believe in the Constitution? You think they're moral? You think they believe in the Bible? You think they believe in a Judeo-Christian tradition that this government was founded on? I said in a podcast a couple weeks ago, I said, listen folks, it's real simple. The founders told us this is for a religious and moral people and is totally unsuitable for any other. We're in the any other category now. You wouldn't have this stuff happening if we were moral people. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't throw people out of their houses. And so I have to face that reality. I think you all have to face that reality. It ain't coming back. Because we're not that people. And so the question is, what happens next? The question is, where does this go? And you throw on top of that AI. You throw on top of that artificial intelligence. And it's just real simple. It's going to change everything. You know, Brian talks about, you know, how many school boards in Ohio? 645 now?
611, I think.
There's 611, yeah, there used to be 548. You know how many school districts there are in Florida?
One.
Anybody know? Yes, there's 16. In a state that's twice as big as ours. There's 16 school districts in the whole state. Okay. Why is that? Well, because they don't care about the kids. They don't care about the community. They don't care about the country. They care about, I'm going to make some money, right? We can kind of set this baby up and it's on autopilot. Geez, those dumbass people always vote for the levies. Right?
You have to do it for the kids. Yeah.
You all don't. But you know, when you listen to David Thomas, right, from Ashtabula, you know, and he explained to me, I've had multiple long conversations with him, and he's really bright, and I appreciate his advice. But he made clear, this is a really complicated thing, right? It isn't just the legislature can wave a wand and, oh, property taxes are fixed. Because we have, I don't know, how many taxing agencies in Ohio, Brian? 1,345? Or no, it's like 5,000, isn't it?
Yeah, thousands.
Let's go ourselves.
There's there's a taxing entity everywhere you look. And no one's really in control of them. So then, I mean, I'm just talking to you like I talk with Nan, okay? Because this is the way I think and it's going on. So yeah, poor Nan. Keep her in your prayers, believe me. Because I could never have done what I've done without her, without any doubt at all. But let me just try to put this into context. In Portage County, the Portage County Tea Party was like you, and we go, these levies are nuts. And we own a telecommunications company. I invented years ago this service where the superintendent calls up and says, school's closed today because it's snowing again in Lake County, what a concept, okay? And we call everybody, every parent, again, it's called pre-K-12 notification. I invented that, okay? So we've had that for a long time. So when the Tea Party started, I used that to recruit people to come to our meetings. I figured out that I needed to go around Portage County and hold meetings, because at that point the Tea Party was, crazy people who you should be afraid of and all that. And so we would go to like churches or schools or township meetings, and we would have a meeting, and I would call everyone in the community and say, the Tea Party is coming to your town, and what you think you know about it is wrong. Come meet us and find out. And we grew our Tea Party membership to 2,600 members. The largest one in the state, one of the largest in the country. Okay? And so, when we figured out what the deal is, that hey, these levies are destroying us, we took the phone technology and we would call people and say, hey, there's an election on Tuesday in August, okay? And there's a school levy, and it's X mil, and you don't know what the hell a mil is, so we're going to convert that to dollars, and we're going to say that if this passes, if you have a house that's appraised at $100,000, your bill's going to go up $300 on top of what you're already paying. And we wouldn't even say vote no. We just say, so you can either go vote for it, you can go vote against it, but you sure as hell should vote. Right? We could do that for like $500. We defeated every school levy in Portage County for 10 years. Every single one. For 10 straight years. On the 10th anniversary of the Tea Party, I put out a press release that said, because of the efforts of the Portage County Tea Party, every family in Portage County had saved $15,000 in the last 10 years.
Wow.
And guess what? No school districts went into receivership. The world did not come to an end. They didn't have to cut sports. Funny how that worked. Okay? Now I'm standing here today to tell you that one of the things that would help Brian and his team is if I could use that same technology so that every time they were going to be at this county library to collect signatures, or at this church, or wherever it is in the state, we would make a phone call saying, hey, have you heard about this property tax position? They're going to be collecting signatures to put it on the ballot at this township hall on Tuesday from noon till 4. Come on by. And I'd get you your 550,000 signatures. It's illegal. I'm not allowed to make that phone call. I'm not allowed to make that phone call anymore. Because of the privacy rules and protecting your privacy. And, we can't have this because they didn't opt in. Okay? Last year, with the Blue 22 that we were trying to take out, that the Democrats had gotten to take our Republican House from us. We recruited a young woman named Heidi Workman in Portage County. She'd never run for anything before, ever. So now she's running. How the hell does she let anybody know she's running? I would usually get the voter database for Portage County, pay a list broker for the phone numbers, and we would have her do a call. Hi, I'm Heidi Workman from, such and such, and I'm running for House, and here's my website, and let's do this. Can't do it. Wouldn't let us do it. Tried to get an email list, loaded into Constant Contact. Just to send an email. I'm Heidi Workman. I'm running for House in your district. Constant Contact stopped it. Shut down our account and said, you have to prove to us that every one of these people opted in. How the hell do you get them to opt in? How do you get every voter in your county to freaking opt in?
How come you can't do any of that, but you can get robocalls every...
And text, do you get text messages from everybody? Okay? Right, okay, that's a great question. That's a question I've asked, okay? Because they want to charge me $5,000 for every violation, okay? So, what have I been doing? I've been spending the last 6 months, because after Trump came into office, he appointed someone to be the head of the FCC, and that person did an article. He said, I want people to write to me and tell me what regulations we have that are hurting their business or is a problem. Brendan Carr is his name. And I immediately wrote a letter to him explaining that your rules are unconstitutional because they violate our free speech rights, our rights to public assembly, to be able to have political speech among each other, to know important issues, okay? And I even called the SEC because we had the property tax issue, and you guys came to Portage County, we had a nice meeting, right? Okay? And after that meeting, people said to our county auditor, weren't you gonna tell us about this? Aren't you gonna tell us, give us some information? How come you didn't send us a letter or anything? Okay? So after the meeting, he and I talked, and I said, well, for about $5,000, we could call every homeowner in Portage County and give them, your office hours, your phone number, your email, a website, access to documents about how you challenge your property taxes. He was all for that. I called the FCC and said, now, this is a government agency, this is an elected official with critical information about your property, and he wants to call them. Can I make the call? And they said no. And if they did a mailing, it would have cost about 50 grand.
Oh, wow.
So you know what happened? Did nothing. Okay? So this, I'm trying to give you both sides, okay? Because we've been doing this for 16 years, and this is the situation we're in. Trump is president, and this is the situation we're in, where we don't have our First Amendment rights. We can't hire a frickin' lawyer. Literally, there are only 2 lawyers in the entire state of Ohio who will talk to me. Literally. I can get no legal help for anything over 16 years. You know why? Because all the lawyers get paid by the government, right? All except for that best knows who she ain't gonna in the future. She's not gonna, okay? But we found out at the beginning of the Tea Party that the Attorney General's office doesn't have a lot of lawyers on the staff. They hire all the big law firms. Well, isn't that convenient? Right? Because when we want a lawyer, they go, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. We have a multi-million-dollar contract with the state. How do you have a country based on law when you don't have access to the law? I've been fortunate, very fortunate, that Jay Sekulow and Jordan Sekulow from the ACLJ interceded when we took on the Obama administration, when they targeted the Tea Party with the IRS. I spent 6 years in court of my time fighting that fight. We won both cases. We won $3.2 million for Tea Party groups from that, of which I got not a dime. But it took 6 years, and they did all the legal work. Tom Fitton has been helpful at times. But as you say, there's always certain kind of cases they'll take. They ain't gonna do property taxes in Ohio. They want national cases, okay?
Well, that begs the question. There's similar situations starting to develop in Florida about property taxes, and there's other states now starting to get on the same.
Yep.
Could that then be turned into?
A national cost?
Yes.
Quite possibly.
If you got a half a dozen states,
You might get that clout. And you might certainly get some law firms that might want to help you because there's money in it, right? It's all about the money. Our problem is we never had two nickels to rub together, okay? And that's
paying our property taxes.
that's because we're paying our property taxes, right? And so I'm looking forward and trying to understand where the targets of opportunity are. How do we advance our cause? And in my podcast today, I talked about how, we had this blow up with Donald Trump about Epstein, and he says, I don't want to support our people who are talking about this. And I just said, forget about it. It doesn't matter. What we have done for 16 years is just do whatever we can to advance our cause, whether it's 5G or it's some other legal issue, property taxes. We just keep grinding, right? And at one point, I have a little stained glass thing on my windowsill in my office of a fire ant. Because one time I spoke to a group and I said, the Tea Party is like fire ants. We're these little guys that come out of the ground and will just eat you alive. And you just can't stop us, right? We're fire ants. That's what we are. But we're powerful. But it's not like you can just wave a wand, and it's not like we have power, like we can impose ourselves, right? We have to, like our founding fathers, we couldn't take on the British headlong in a fight. We had to hide behind the trees and the bricks and the rock walls and shoot and run. That's who we are. You gotta find those targets of opportunity. And you can't worry about the fights you can't fight. You can't worry about it, because we're moral people. We want to fight every damn fight, right? Man, I'm fired up, I'm going to fight this fight. And I came up with this guiding principle quite a few years ago that's really served me well. Because after jousting at enough windmills, after putting enough wonderful people on the ballot to see them get crushed, okay, after actually electing people and then seeing them get crushed when they went in the government, I came up with this idea. I said, from now on, I'm only going to fight the fights that I have a reasonable chance of winning and are worth winning. And if I can't meet that criteria, I gotta pass, no matter how much it hurts. No matter how much it hurts. And I think those are the kind of principles that help us survive and help us keep a better attitude, right? And help us, celebrate the wins and not be so focused on the losses. I talked in my podcast today about, I care about the Epstein thing. It's horrible. I do believe it was a blackmail operation. I do believe lots of really wealthy people were involved. That's true, and that's wrong, and I want them brought to justice. But in the scope of what's going on now, it's nothing. When she drops that bomb last night of, here's the documents that show Barack Obama had a meeting to overthrow the President of the United States, and we're actually going to try to act on that. Hell yeah, that's a big deal. Hell yeah, I want Pam Bondi on that instead of Epstein. Okay? And so, perspective. And also, the best thing about us is we can fight and not hate each other. Right? We're like siblings, right? You get in a wrestling match with your brother, you beat the daylights out of each other, then you go play basketball together. Right? We gotta be that way with Trump. We gotta be that way. You can't throw Dan Bongino under the bus, for God's sake. Because there's no better patriot, I know. And so you can't let your emotions guide you. You can't let it run away from you. Right? You gotta, keep your perspective. You gotta keep your emotions in check and be strategic and do things that make a difference. And so then, I just close with this because I want to hear your questions and I want to answer things that you want me to talk about or hear about. But I want to throw this on the table because I think it's really important in today's podcast. I led with this and I made it the topic of the podcast. Because again, I'm focused on what can we do that means something, that makes a difference. What is our task? What can we do that they can't do? And we've done that, right? Again, I will always bring the receipts, right? They're telling us Hillary Clinton's going to win Ohio by 16%. Right? And we're standing up and saying, no, he's not, she's not. And they kept telling us that he was going to lose. And we said no. And we went all the way to the mat because we knew what we could do. We knew how many doors we could knock on, how many phone calls we could make, how many people we could persuade. Because we were working with our allies in the NRA at the time. And we proved them wrong. But I knew as a leader of this, I knew what you could do, I knew what you would do, and I knew if you did it, we would win. I never doubted it. I knew we could win that. When everyone said, you're a frickin' idiot. Okay? So now, as I'm looking at the battle space, I like to call it, because I think in military terms. I just think this whole political stuff is a loser for us. I just think that we've got very little to show for our political activity. If I could do it again, I think what I would have done is I would have kept the Tea Party local. And we would have just destroyed the school boards. We would have taken over every school board. We would have taken over every township. We would have won every commissioner seat. We would have focused locally. But instead, we got sucked into this. We got to throw Strickland and what's her name out from the governorship and elect Kasich and Portman. Yeah, that worked out real well, didn't it? Okay, and we got to get into congressmen, and we got to elect senators, and then we got to elect presidents, and we did those things. But mostly, what do we get from that? We got the back of their hand. We got the back of their hand. Okay? I like to think I can learn. It's only taken 40 years for Nan to teach me how to be a husband, but I can learn. It just may take a while. Okay? But as I'm looking at now, last year, you and I, we gave everything. We gave all our money, all our time, all our effort, all our prayers, because we knew we had to win or our country would end. We knew it. It wasn't an idle threat. It wasn't a illogical fear. We could literally see it happen. Without any doubt, okay, without any doubt, you're not having this meeting this year if we lost, and I'm in prison. That's a fact. That's not a guess. So, here we are. We did that, but our country's not safe. Our country's still not safe. And what we knew in our hearts, because we watch and we think and we read, we knew that everything was screwed up. The oil and gas crap was crazy with the Green New Scam. Our schools were a disaster. Every institution was a disaster. Our military was the biggest disaster. Okay? Everything was completely messed up. But even knowing that, we couldn't have imagined until now, as we're finding out, how bad it really is. Folks, we are this close to the end. We came this close to China ruling the world. This close. And now we're like this close. Like this close. Because Donald Trump is fighting everybody at every level all the time. He needs divine guidance. He is like our founding fathers, where God himself is guiding his actions, because we're fighting Satan for real every damn day.
That's right, amen.
That's not a joke, man. These people, they're not just wrong. They're not wrong. They're evil. Let's just traffic 300,000 children. No big deal there. What the hell are you talking about? So, I think we've done what we had to do by electing Trump, by getting a cabinet that I think is the greatest in the history of the freaking world, okay? These people are not just good, they're the best. They're the best. Besnick, Litnick, even Musk when he was there, all these guys, Zeldin, they're unbelievably good. But they better be, because they're fighting unbelievable bad. Okay? And then, we finally got the rhinos, we finally got them cornered, where they're scared for their life, or at least they're scared of Trump. Okay? And we'll take either one. But you and I know after 16 years, there's no Republicans going to vote for that big, beautiful bill. Not any of them. Except for Thomas Massey, probably, or, Rand Paul. I'm not sure Jim Jordan would have voted. They had to. They had to. We forced them. Okay? But that ain't going to last forever. And next year, who's going to be on the ballot? Oh, Dave Joyce. Yeah, great. Yeah, he's a real patriot, real conservative. Really cares about you. Yeah. Yeah. When Mike Turner down Dayton, he voted against the $9 billion rescission package. That SOB voted against it.
Just like Sesame Street.
Yeah. And so I begged Trump. I've said, I can elect a toaster over Jay Joyce if you just endorse the toaster. Okay? I can do that. He won't do it. He will not endorse against Republicans in the primaries unless he's going after Thomas Massey now. So he's made an exception. But we've got a problem. Right? That's why when Elon Musk says, I'll give money to throw out these people who voted to not cut money, I'm like, Elon, I'm here. Yeah, our people here, you give us some money, we'll kick Dave Joyce's ass. Okay? But you can't beat that kind of money, especially when they're taking our tools away. Okay? So what I think is going to happen, we're going to elect the same people. Right? Next year, we're going to elect the same people, and you mentioned Vivek, okay? Well, we'll see how that turns out. Okay? He's, absolutely he's in the lead, and he should be no problem. Don't trust these people. Don't trust them. I mean, they're going to have TV ads telling you that if you elect Vivek Ramaswamy, your kids are going to have to learn Hindu in their school. Okay? You think not? You think not? Okay? So, because it's a lie machine. So even that's not a layup. Okay? And we got other things like John Huston, Sherrod Brown run for governor, what Tim Ryan run for one of those seats? I don't know. But it's going to be the same thing we always go through. We're fighting our ass off for not our person, right? We're fighting for somebody that isn't really with us, but they're better than that other guy. And then when they go there, they don't listen to us at all. And by the way, we won't take your phone calls. You can't write to us. Don't call our office. That's real representative government. So what do we do? What am I getting to? What do we do? Our nation is in trouble because our infrastructure is a mess, because we don't have enough energy, because we can't manufacture the critical things we need for self-defense, like magnets. We aren't mining. We don't have lithium. We don't have these things. It's all over our damn country. It's right in the bloody ground. But oh, you want to mine? Oh, here, 30 years of permits for you. Okay? Now you're seeing that change. Yep. You saw what happened in Pittsburgh on Monday. That's a big deal, folks. That's a big deal. $90 billion of investment. And if you didn't read that, you'll hear it in my podcast, not just in AI data centers, but in nuclear, in hydro, water energy, even in some solar, natural gas. They're serious. And Trump, through the tariffs, is making it possible for our country to survive and grow and be a success again. But he's missing the key thing, and that's us. So I played the Mike Rowe video in the beginning of my podcast, where Mike Rowe talks about we need 400,000 pipe fitters, we need 140,000 electricians, we can't build submarines, which we need because we don't have the people that put it together. Okay? And so what I say in my podcast today, and you will hear it, okay, at WeThePeopleConvention.org or on YouTube or Rumble, whatever. I said, I'm asking each and every one of you to make it your personal responsibility to fix this problem. We need to recruit 1 million people to enter the skilled trades this year. 1 million, okay? And so I'm saying every one of you needs to call your school districts this summer, right now, this week, talk to the superintendent, talk to a school board member and say, what are you doing to get students interested in the trades? Are you aware that this is an existential threat to us? Are you aware that if you don't get students to go into the trades, China is going to beat us in the AI race and we are no longer going to be a world superpower? Do you understand that? And you know what their answer is going to be? What are you talking about? They don't have a damn clue. So then you say to them, hey, you're a guidance counselor. Is your guidance counselor, do they have a college degree? Pretty much so. Yeah. What do the guidance counselor tell the students? Oh, you should go to college. I'm a taxpayer. I want you to hire another guidance counselor who's a tradesman, who can tell students what it's like to work in the trades, what your life was like, and how do you get started. We're the taxpayers. We're paying for it. Because guess what? Only 25% of people go to college, and that's too damn many. What the hell do the other 75% do? Well, they're at Starbucks, right? They're waiting tables. They're washing your car. They're doing your lawn. And those are all, I'm not putting those down. But the next thing I'm asking you to do is every person you meet, they don't have to be 18 to 25. They can be 45 or 50. And say, listen, I'm asking you to investigate this as part of your patriotic duty to save our nation. Because that's what we're talking about. This is like Rosie the Riveter in World War II. If she didn't come into the workforce and build those planes and those tanks, we lose. Hitler wins.
We speak German.
Yeah, if we're alive. It's that serious. So I'm asking you to talk to your waitress, to talk to the person who's working in the grocery store and say, hey, you know what, did you ever think about a trade? What's a trade? You know, carpentry, plumbing, electrician. Well, I don't know anything about that stuff. You say, well, you can make 5 times the money you're making now, okay? And guess what? You don't have to go to college for 4 years to learn how to be an electrician or a plumber or HVAC. Most of it is like a 6-month program or less. Some of them are a couple months. And after that, they have apprenticeships, right? So now you got a job, paying good money. Find out, and I know your group can do this and help disseminate, who is the trades group in Lake County? How do you get a hold of them? What's their phone numbers? And make up some little cards to give to kids, to give to your waiter, to give to the person at the grocery store, to give to your family member who's underemployed, and say, this isn't just great for you, but it's great for our nation. Because folks, if we don't get this done, we are not going to win the war or the battle or the challenge that is greater than the fight we had over nuclear weapons. This is that serious. This is more dangerous than nuclear weapons. This AI is more dangerous than nuclear weapons. And we have to win or we will die. I can't be any clearer to you. We have to win or we're going to die. The communist Chinese want to rule the world. If they get to the AI superintelligence before us, they will rule the world. They will rule over us. Whatever you have will be gone. You won't have anything. Listen to the guy in New York City, right? Okay? That's what communism is. The state owns everything. You are there to serve the state. That's the fight. I think that's a pretty dramatic turn from what you guys are here and thinking and doing. I hope I've made the case for you that that is something to spend the next year or 2 years on that might pay a hell of a lot better dividends than going out and busting our butts for one of these stupid politicians. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I'm betting. And that's what I'm going to be doing, spending my time. And I actually started working on this almost 4 years ago. I reached out and was trying to get funding for our trade schools and get schools to start doing it. 4 years ago I started working on it. No one wanted to talk to me. No one would help me. But now it's here, and the good news is Trump and his guys get it, and that's why all this money is coming in. So I'm sitting there going, my God, if you live in the Pittsburgh area, if you live in Pennsylvania, they just said they're going to create like 200,000 jobs. Pick up the frickin' phone. How do I get involved? We've got a thing going on in Columbus. Have you guys heard of the Anduril plant? The weapons plant in Columbus? Okay, what is it, the Rickenbacker airfield that's outside of there? Okay. One of my favorite people in the world is Palmer Luckey. Wild dude. Look him up on the internet. Palmer Luckey. Palmer Luckey. This is the guy that invented the Oculus glasses, okay? And he sold it to Meta for $1 billion. And then when he donated to Trump, they fired him. Okay? And so what did he do? He started a defense company called Anduril. And he started a defense company with a whole different idea. He said, we're not going to have a company like the other defense contractors where the government says, well, we're looking for a fighter jet that does this and does that, and give us a proposal, and 30 years from now you deliver something that doesn't work. Right? He said, we're going to figure out what they need, and we're going to build it with our own money, and then we're going to walk in and say, I got this. This is what it costs. You want 1,000 of them? The entire Ukraine war is being fought with Anduril drones. the whole thing. Ukraine's done without him. So what's he doing? He's in Columbus. They are opening a new defense plant in Columbus, Ohio, to build these unmanned drones and other types of weapons, including like little submarines and all kinds of things. They're on a fast track. They just announced it. They want to start building weapons by next year. Because you know what? We damn well better be building weapons by next year. Because we're going to frickin' need them. I did something on my podcast 2 weeks ago. The Defense Department's running out of weapons. In Ukraine, they're firing 5,000 to 6,000 144 millimeter shells a month, and we're manufacturing 1,400. How's that work out?
Very well.
How's that work out? Okay? Because they gutted our entire manufacturing base. And oh yeah, let's just depend on the Chinese to supply it. And then Pete Hegseth just talked this week about, oh, by the way, the Defense Department is using a cloud service for all their data that's run by the Chinese. Our Defense Department. Okay? This is why we were this close, folks. They've been executing the plan for 50 years to destroy us. Our families with trans and gay marriage, our communities by destroying our schools and CRT. All of that is a psyop paid for by the commies. I can prove it. Go look it up on my website. The first 2 Chinese billionaires paid for the entire trans effort in the United States. 2 Chinese billionaires. Funded it all. Okay? That's what we're up against. And so, it's our patriotic duty to once again defend our country, but in a different way. Not by electing people or running for office, but by getting our fellow citizens to start to go into the trade so we can build the power plants, build the manufacturing we're going to need to succeed. So I will leave you with that. I know that's a little twist, but I'm known for that. And now I will answer any question you want to ask me. Thank you for your time.
I'll do one in this area. We need jobs here. Build.
You're going to have them in this area. Where are the people? Work on the people. Trump's bringing jobs like you can't believe. Bring the people. Yeah.
Could you speak to the Genius Act which just passed?
The Genius Act? Yeah, okay. You guys know what she's talking about, the Genius Act that Trump just signed yesterday. It's a thing that's about a thing called stable coins. And it's a crypto-based bill. Because the problem with crypto, which is digital money, okay, like Bitcoin, but this isn't Bitcoin, it's a digital currency. The problem is that there's been a lot of scammers and a lot of people where it's not connected to anything. And so there's been scandals with millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars lost. Okay? And so they've been begging, and you probably remember that right before the election, Trump spoke at a Bitcoin convention in Nashville, and people were going crazy, and Bernie Moreno's very big into this, okay? Because they, in order to get crypto as a real currency, they need regulation. They need to have some basis for how to do it. So what this Genius Act does is it ties these things called stable coins to the dollar so that there's a connection to that. In other words, right, and other types of things. There are going to be other things too. And so what it is that X, Amazon, Walmart, these people are going to start offering these digital coins that you can buy, but when you then purchase their products, you won't have to pay the Visa MasterCard fees. And you also won't have to wait for the transaction. It'll be instant. Okay? And so they're trying to move into a new era with a different kind of currency. And the secondary effect of this is that people in countries around the globe that they have a bad currency, their government's a mess, and they have, you know, currencies that aren't trustworthy.
Like ours?
Like ours. Like a lot of countries. They will be able to buy these stable coins and do transactions in it, and that will tie them to the dollar, which will help support the dollar, which is currently under attack by this group called BRICS, which China and Russia are trying to create to make the dollar not the world currency.
Can I
They
just
should be
give you a
calling them
follow-up
pricks.
to that?
What?
Just a quick follow-up
Yeah.
to that. He who creates the currency creates the rules. I'm gonna give you a little warning, and there's no time to discuss, but maybe I'll send you something.
Yeah.
A while back, I had a friend who was a contractor to the Obama State Department. He's deceased now. And he said to me, the end game is to have a cartel of corporations running the planet. I look at this very different than you do, and as an existential threat. And what the rhetoric you just gave us, no disrespect to me, meant, but as a Trojan horse for something far worse than a central bank digital currency, but come through the private sector. And that's why conservatives went along with it, because they went through this us-them, public sector bad, private sector good, just like Democrats do, private sector bad,
Yeah, I
public
agree.
sector good.
Yeah.
And they did not analyze this thing.
Oh, no.
Effectively, I had Justin Haskins at the Heartland Institute pretty much saying what I said about how they didn't really look at this thing. It's a Trojan horse.
Listen.
And it's also the reason why the president probably did his flip-flop on Epstein, was because it distracted us. We did not have a public discussion about this,
Yeah.
and these issues did not come to the fore.
But it's real simple. They voted for it because they got paid. They voted for it because they got bribes, okay? It's real simple. The Bitcoin people spent millions of dollars to get this done. So yes, they didn't look at it. No kidding, okay? No kidding. And second of all, I got news for you. These corporations are already controlling the world.
Yes, they did.
It's just real simple. How can you have corporations, many of them, that have more money than whole countries? And again, what has been the problem for us as Americans? Where did we go wrong? We went wrong when we lost antitrust. We went wrong right now. When we were growing up, they said, oh, Ma Bell has to break up into regional phone companies so that we can have competition. And then the long distance companies had to break up. And the power companies. And the government was making sure there was competition. And then they figured out that if they cut the government in on the money, they'll make sure there's no competition. And so in the end, they were just talking about, like she says, oh, I was at Walmart and there were so many people there. It's amazing. I said, man, where else can they shop? You got Target and Walmart. You used to have Grants and Kmart
But
and
now they're creating their own currency, which means the United States will lose sovereignty.
So this is why I'm saying to you, us investing in our government is not an answer, because it's not going to be there. We're going into a world where AI, it's not even going to be these corporations. It's going to be a freaking machine that's running the world, okay? And it's just, unfortunately, it's true. And because once it starts, you're not going to stop it. But the problem is that our government, the people we elected, haven't protected us. They could have stopped this stuff. They didn't. We would be all way better off if there wasn't just two of everything, right? And we saw that during COVID. What happened during COVID? Oh, yeah, we're going to close all your businesses. And I'll never forget this, because the mom and pop restaurants were trying to stay open, and there was a letter that DeWine put out, signed by the Ohio Restaurant Association, saying, this is a good thing, we should close. So then I went and looked up the Ohio Restaurant Association, which these small mom and pops pay money to be part of. Who's on the board? McDonald's, Applebee's, all these big companies. You know why? Because they could handle the financial hit. And what happened? All the mom and pops got put out of business.
Yeah.
And they ain't never coming back.
Well, we know the COVID didn't go into Walmart, it only went into.
Oh, well, you know, that's right, exactly right. And only went into churches, not strip clubs. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom, back to your, the trades. We've been looking at Lakeland Community College for 5 years or more, where we, taxpayers give them $20 million a year. And the prior administration drove that right into the ground. So now they used to have 10,000 students, they now have 4,400 students.
Good God, for $20 million?
$20 million, and then we've got Auburn Career Center here in Lake County, that's getting 2.5 mills, an outside millage, and we're saying, well, why don't we combine both? Why don't we combine Auburn and Lakeland Community College?
Yeah, exactly. But they don't think that way. See, that's why we have all these school districts, right?
Yeah.
Because if you combine both, you get efficiency. We can't have that. That's what we spend our whole lives doing, efficiency, right?
Right.
And the problem is in government, they want to be inefficient because they get paid. When the government worker fails at their job, they don't fire them. They hire 2 more people to do the same job, and they all fail. That's what we're seeing. But see, I think AI is going to have an impact on that.
Well, would you agree with the statement? A statement that I'm making is that the public sector has outgrown the private sector's ability to pay for the services.
I agree with that, and I think it's even worse than that, in that the government sector, I mean, look what they're finding like in the FAA. I mean, I knew this 10 years ago. They're using Windows 95 computers for air traffic control. When we gave money year after year after year, there was money to upgrade the computers. I would bitch about it. I would talk to congressmen. Oh my gosh, it's insane. Okay? They're intentionally retarded. Okay? So it's worse than that. Not only have they grown so big we can't afford to pay for them, they've grown so stupid they don't even know what their job is anymore. Because like you said, it makes all the sense in the world to combine those two. Right. That thought would never occur to anybody, because we don't do that, right? That's why Musk was so hated when he came into government. Because he's thinking first principles and real solutions, and like right now. Oh, he can't have that. He's a horrible person. Okay? Well, but we've got to change it by doing private things. Okay, and there are things like the Ohio ABC, the Buildings and Contractors, Association of Building Contractors, ABC, Ohio. They have a statewide organization. A lot of contractors you know that are big are part of their group, and they have their own training facility outside of Columbus to train people in the trades. They're a private group. There's other private groups that do it. I'm telling you, I was at a fundraiser for Heidi Workman last week, and it just so happened the guy was there who's the head of the Ohio Mining Association. And I said, oh man, are you not living the greatest days of your life with Trump in the White House? He goes, Tom, it's unbelievable. We have so much here in Ohio that we could mine that we haven't been able to mine for decades. He said, we're fired up, but we don't have the workers. And so I said to him, I said, well, you know, and the thing about it, he said it's true because you say the people with the trades, they'll say carpentry, HVAC, electricity, auto repair, you know, even like legal aid, or you know, even hairdressers and that. Nobody ever says mining. Who would even think mining? So he says they try to get kids to go on field trips to mines to see it's not as dirty, and they're not digging coal with a shovel. They're driving this beast of a machine that's got AI and stuff to dig it out and do stuff. And when the kids go, they go, cool. That's cool. Okay? That's what Mike Rowe says in the video I played at the beginning of my podcast today. You've got to tell the story of what it's like to be a tradesman. You've got to tell success stories. You've got to talk about people you know who started out as a plumber, then they started their own business, now they got several trucks and they're doing really well. That's the picture we need to paint, because for the last 30 years, you were a loser if you were in the trades, man. Go to college and get a degree in French. Right? Yeah, great. And so, you know, and I'll tell you, it was systemic. It wasn't an accident. They did it on purpose, okay? In the Kent City school systems, they used to have every student was required to go on a field trip to Maplewood Career Center every year just to see it. And then they made it optional. Then you could sign up for it. And they didn't.
Plumbers make all the money.
Yeah, if you hire one, you know that for sure. Yeah. Any other question? George?
Tom, a good book on the Chinese is Plan Red by Gordon Chang.
Oh boy.
Really short, but it's scary.
Gordon Chang's my man. He's the guy I believe and trust. If you're not watching Gordon Chang, you're on social media, or just go on YouTube, watch what he says. I don't know how he's still alive. He must have a security team bigger than Trump's.
And beside the central bank digital currency, precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, and the most important precious metal that's much better than all of those, lead.
Lead. No kidding.
Battery.
For bullets. I love it.
Now, one final thing, Jeff.
Yeah.
A book for you, a gift for your patriotism and dedication, The Founder's Recipe by Dr. Joel Wolverton, the Constitutional Scholar for the John Birch Society.
Thank you.
It's not as thick as it looks, there's a lot of pages for notes, but every chapter is self-contained. Who our founding fathers relied on.
Right.
Not beyond this, 2000, I've only heard of about 10 of them. There's 14 that I've never even heard
Never
of.
heard of. Yeah, there were people that were lost by history, weren't they? Yeah, but they were divine guided, I'll tell you that much. It was amazing what they did. All right, guys, I hope I didn't disappoint you. I hope you're glad you came today. Thank you for allowing us to come. Yes, sir.
There's your list, you have to look at
That,
that.
the lucky guy that came to Columbus,
That's
Yes.
just what
he
came off
left
the top of my head right
Google
now.
all those people.
Yes.
And he vetted out all the states and he chose Ohio as being the perfect place. So he's an
Because he
ex-California.
said we have the manufacturing and we have the people with the skills.
Right.
And that's true, okay? But boy, I'll tell you, I tried to get, I mean, to me, I literally was like, I want to.